The quiet hum of monitoring equipment filled the Imperial Space Station Outpost 42. Located at the outer edge of the Galactic Empire's territory, the station's job was simple. Watch for anything unusual and report it. Most days were boring. This day would not be boring. Officer Jack Miller yawned as he watched the screens. 6 hours into his 12-hour shift, he had already drunk 4 cups of coffee. His eyes were starting to blur from staring at the same displays for so long. Then something blinked on his radar. "Sir," Jack called out, suddenly alert. "I'm picking up something strange." Commander Robert Ellis looked up from his reports. Ellis was a 20-year veteran of the Imperial fleet, with gray starting to show in his short black hair. His stern face showed the years of discipline and hard work. "Define strange, Officer Miller," Ellis said, walking over to Jack's station. "A ship, sir, but it's not sending any identification codes. And—" Jack paused, double-checking his readings. "It's not in our records. I've run it through the entire database." Ellis frowned. This was unusual. The Empire had records of every ship built within its borders for the past 200 years. Even old ships or foreign vessels were at least partly documented. "Show me," Ellis ordered. The main screen lit up with a visual of distant space. At first, there was nothing unusual, just stars against the black. Then the computer zoomed in on a small dot. It didn't look special, but as the computer enhanced the image, Ellis could see it wasn't like any ship he knew. The vessel was sleek, with unusual angles. It had no visible engine ports where Imperial ships would have them. Its hull was dark gray with no markings or flags. "How fast is it moving?" Ellis asked. Jack checked his instruments. "That's another odd thing, sir. It's currently traveling at standard cruising speed." But he tapped a few keys, bringing up a graph. "It's been gradually increasing velocity since we first detected it. The acceleration curve is steady." Ellis narrowed his eyes. "Send a standard hailing message." "Already tried, sir. No response on any Imperial frequencies." Ellis rubbed his chin, thinking. Protocol said to report unidentified vessels and wait for orders. But something about this ship bothered him. In his gut, he felt this was important. "Keep trying all frequencies. I want to know the moment they respond." Ellis returned to his command chair and opened a secure channel to Imperial headquarters. "This is Commander Ellis at Outpost 42. We've detected an unidentified vessel entering restricted space in Sector 7. Requesting instructions." The response came quickly. "Stand by and continue monitoring. Do not engage. A report team will evaluate the situation." Ellis acknowledged the orders, but his eyes kept drifting back to the strange ship on the screen. Throughout his career, he had seen pirates, smugglers, and even the occasional alien craft from beyond Empire space. This was different. This felt important. 2 hours passed. The mysterious ship maintained its course, heading deeper into Imperial territory. Jack called Ellis over again. "Sir, you need to see this." He displayed new readings. "The ship is accelerating again. It's now exceeding our fastest patrol vessels." Ellis stared at the numbers in disbelief. "That's impossible. Nothing moves that fast without jumping to hyperspace. It's not using any hyperspace technology we can detect. It's just going faster." Ellis made a decision. He knew it might cost him his career, but his instincts were screaming that this was too important to ignore. "Prepare pursuit, Squadron Alpha. I want 4 of our fastest ships ready to launch in 10 minutes. Officer Jack looked up, surprised. "Sir, headquarters ordered us not to engage." "They ordered us not to engage, not to avoid pursuit. We need to know what this is." Ellis's voice was firm. "I'll take full responsibility." Within minutes, 4 Imperial patrol ships launched from the station. They were the best the outpost had, sleek, fast vessels designed for intercepting smugglers and pirates. Ellis watched from the command center as they disappeared into the darkness of space. "Squadron Alpha to command. We are on course to intercept the unknown vessel. Current speed at maximum, reported Captain Trent, leading the squadron. Ellis nodded. Maintain pursuit, but keep your distance. I want visual confirmation and readings only. Do not attempt to stop or board unless I give direct orders. Understood, Commander. Ellis paced the command center as minutes turned to hours. The pursuit squadron was pushing their engines to the limit, yet the strange ship stayed ahead of them. Commander, Jack called out. Squadron Alpha is reporting something unusual about the unknown ship. Ellis hurried to the communication station. Put it through. Captain Trent's voice came through with static. Command, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the target. It's unlike anything in our databases. The ship is. The transmission cut off abruptly. Captain Trent, report. Alpha Squadron, respond. Ellis called into the comm. Nothing but static answered him. Get them back. Ellis ordered. Jack worked frantically at his console. I can't, sir. All 4 ships have gone dark. No signals, no tracking beacons. A chill ran down Ellis's spine. 4 Imperial ships, just gone. This was no ordinary encounter. The door to the command center slid open, and a group of officers in high-ranking Imperial uniforms entered. At their head was Admiral Victor Voss, a tall man with cold eyes and a reputation for ruthless efficiency. Commander Ellis, Voss said, his voice like ice. You were ordered not to engage the unknown vessel. Ellis stood straight. Admiral, with respect, that ship represents an unknown threat. It's faster than our best vessels and appears to have technology we've never seen. I made a judgment call. A judgment call that may have cost us 4 ships and their crews, Voss replied. You're relieved of command, effective immediately. As Ellis was escorted out, Voss turned to the monitors showing the last known position of the mystery ship. What do we know about this vessel? He asked Jack. Very little, sir. It appeared without warning, doesn't match any known designs, and can outrun our fastest ships. And now it seems to have disabled Squadron Alpha somehow. Voss's face remained impassive, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Where is it heading? Jack pulled up the projected course. If it maintains its current trajectory, it will pass near the Centauri system in 3 days, and then... He paused, looking up with concern. It will enter the direct path to the Imperial core worlds. Voss studied the projection silently. Then he turned to his staff. I want every available resource directed to tracking and identifying the ship. Contact all outposts along its projected path, and get me every piece of intelligence we have on experimental ships from rival systems. He paused. Also, pull everything we have on Earth and humans. One of his officers looked surprised. Humans, sir? They're a quarantined species. They don't have space travel beyond their own system. Perhaps, Voss said, his eyes returning to the screen. Or perhaps we've underestimated them. Either way, I intend to find out. As Voss began organizing the largest pursuit operation in recent Imperial history, the unknown ship continued on its course, steadily gaining speed, heading toward the heart of the Empire. Admiral Victor Voss stood perfectly still on the bridge of the Imperial flagship Dominance. At nearly a mile long, the massive warship represented the height of Imperial engineering. Yet even this technological marvel was struggling to keep pace with the unknown vessel they pursued. Status report, Voss demanded, his voice calm despite the tension filling the bridge. Commander Diane Wells, his second-in-command, stepped forward with a tablet. The unknown ship has increased speed again, sir. Our best vessels are falling behind. We've deployed sensor drones along its projected path, but they're only giving us limited data. Voss took the tablet and studied the readings. 3 days had passed since the incident at Outpost 42. In that time, he had assembled a task force of 20 ships, the fastest in the Imperial fleet. Even so, the mystery ship remained frustratingly out of reach. What about the data from Squadron Alpha? Any recovery? Voss asked. Partial, sir. Before losing contact, they transmitted some sensor readings. Wells brought up the information on the main screen. Our scientists are puzzled. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our records. Voss nodded, his expression unchanging. And the Earth connection. Wells hesitated. Intelligence has compiled everything we know about humans and Earth. It's not much, sir. We classified them as a Level 2 civilization 200 years ago and placed them under standard quarantine protocols. Level 2, Voss repeated. Primitive space travel within their own system, no faster than light capability. He looked back at the screen showing the tracking data of the mystery ship. Clearly, our information is outdated. A young officer approached with another tablet. Admiral, we've received a message from Imperial intelligence. They've been analyzing the visual data from Outpost 42. The officer paused. There's something written on the hull of the unknown ship. It was too small to see initially, but enhancement shows what appears to be Earth writing. It says Pathfinder. Voss's eyes narrowed slightly, the only indication of his surprise. So it is human. He turned to the bridge crew. I want everything we have on human history, especially their technological development patterns. Wells looked concerned. Sir, if humans have somehow developed this level of technology without our knowledge, it represents a significant intelligence failure. It represents more than that, Commander. Voss walked to the view screen, where a simulated image of the Pathfinder's trajectory glowed against the star map. It represents a potential threat to Imperial security. In his private quarters aboard the Dominance, Voss reviewed the hastily assembled report on human history. The more he read, the more his concern grew. Unlike many species that developed steadily over thousands of years, humans had shown an alarming rate of technological advancement. From their first powered flight to landing on their moon took less than 70 years. Their digital revolution had compressed centuries of progress into decades. Computer, display the quarantine monitoring reports for the Sol system over the past 50 years, Voss commanded. The screen filled with data. The routine reports showed nothing unusual: satellite deployments, space station expansions, lunar bases. The last detailed survey was 30 years ago, after which the Empire had reduced monitoring to automated systems that only looked for signs of FTL development. A clear oversight, Voss now realized. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he called. Wells stepped in, her face grim. Sir, we have a situation. Commander Ellis has gone rogue. Voss looked up sharply. Explain. After being relieved of command, he was supposed to return to Imperial Center for debriefing. Instead, he commandeered a scout ship and disappeared. Wells handed him another report. Based on his last known trajectory, we believe he's pursuing the Pathfinder on his own. Voss was silent for a moment. He's obsessed with that ship. Yes, sir. And he knows our pursuit patterns. He could interfere with the operation. Voss considered this new complication. Track him if possible, but don't divert resources from our primary target. Ellis is a secondary concern. Wells nodded and turned to leave, then paused. Sir, there's one more thing. Our science team has analyzed the radiation trail left by the Pathfinder. They say it contains particles that shouldn't exist, at least not according to our understanding of physics. This finally broke through Voss's composed exterior. Impossible. That's what they said too, sir. But the evidence is clear. The Pathfinder isn't just using advanced technology. It's using principles we don't even understand. After Wells left, Voss returned to the human history report with new urgency. The quarantine of Earth had been standard procedure for developing worlds. The Empire had thousands of such planets under observation, waiting until they reached an appropriate technological and social development level before making contact. But Earth had been different from the start. Humans were adaptable, innovative, and startlingly aggressive in their expansion. The report noted their unusual ability to make technological leaps through intuitive connections rather than methodical progression. A dangerous combination, Voss murmured to himself. Meanwhile, across the vast emptiness of space, Commander Ellis sat alone in the cockpit of his stolen scout ship. The small vessel wasn't built for long journeys, but Ellis had disabled the tracking systems and modified the engines for extended flight. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, his uniform wrinkled and stained. On the screen before him, a small dot represented the Pathfinder, always just beyond reach. "I know you're out there," he whispered, "and I'll find you before they do." Ellis had seen something in the brief visual data from Squadron Alpha that he hadn't reported, something he'd kept to himself. Just before losing contact, the lead ship had captured an image of what appeared to be a human face looking out from the Pathfinder, a face with an expression not of fear or confusion, but of determination. That image now haunted Ellis. In 20 years of service to the Empire, he had seen countless alien species, but something about that human face struck him deeply. There was a fire there, a will that seemed almost familiar. Ellis checked his supplies. He had enough food and oxygen for another week. After that, well, it wouldn't matter. He was betting everything on intercepting the Pathfinder before Voss and his fleet. As Ellis plotted his next course adjustment, an alert flashed on his console. The Pathfinder had changed direction. Instead of continuing toward the Imperial core worlds, it was now heading toward the Arcturus system, a sparsely populated region with minimal Imperial presence. Ellis smiled grimly. "Smart move," he muttered, "but not smart enough." He adjusted his course to match the new trajectory, pushing his small ship's engines to their limit. As stars streaked past his viewport, Ellis felt a strange mix of obsession and admiration for his quarry. These humans, whoever they were, had achieved something remarkable. They had slipped past the Empire's watchful eye and created technology that defied Imperial understanding. Part of him wanted to destroy them for the threat they represented. Another part wanted to meet them, to understand how they had accomplished the impossible. Either way, Ellis was determined to reach them first, before Voss, before the Empire, before anyone else. The chase continued through the vast darkness of space, a solitary scout ship following a mysterious vessel, both unknowingly pursued by the mightiest fleet the Empire could assemble. Captain Tom Reed ran his hand through his short brown hair, a habit he'd developed whenever stress built up. Right now, stress was all he had. The viewing port of the Pathfinder showed endless stars, each one unfamiliar, each one a reminder of how lost they truly were. "Status report," Reed said, turning to his small crew gathered in the ship's command center. "Engine performance at 94% and holding," said Mike Davis, the ship's engineer, a stocky man with quick hands and a quicker mind. Davis had been the one who built much of the Pathfinder's experimental drive. "But I don't know how long we can maintain this speed. We weren't designed for extended high-velocity travel." Dr. Anna Wilson, the mission's science officer, looked up from her data pad. "I've completed another analysis of our position based on star patterns. It confirms what we suspected." She paused, her face grave. "We're approximately 7,000 light-years from Earth." A heavy silence fell over the room. The Pathfinder had been Earth's first attempt at faster-than-light travel. The test jump was supposed to take them to the edge of the solar system. Instead, they had been hurled across the galaxy. "What about our visitors?" Reed asked. Anna pulled up a holographic display. "We've detected at least 20 vessels pursuing us. Based on their energy signatures, they're far more advanced than anything we've built on Earth, except for our drive system. And they're definitely not friendly," added James Foster, the communications specialist. "I've been monitoring their transmissions. What I can decode suggests they're calling us an unknown threat." Reed nodded, processing the information. The Pathfinder had been designed as a scientific vessel, not a warship. Its crew of 7 were researchers and engineers, not soldiers. Their mission had been simple: test the new FTL drive with a small jump, then return to Earth with the data. No one had planned for this. "We need to decide our next move," Reed said. "We can't run forever." Lisa Carter, the navigation officer, spoke up. Captain, I've plotted several possible courses. There's a dense asteroid field in the Arcturus sector. We could use it to lose our pursuers. Temporarily, Davis added. But it won't solve our core problem. Reed walked around the holographic display, studying the positions of the ships following them. Our problem is that we've apparently stumbled into the territory of some kind of galactic empire, and they see us as a threat. Can we blame them? Foster asked. We appear out of nowhere with technology they don't understand. I'd be worried too. Anna adjusted the display to show a wider view of the surrounding space. From what I can tell from their communications, they know we're human, and they seem surprised by it. Reed stopped pacing. What do you mean? They keep referring to Earth as a quarantine planet, a level 2 civilization. Anna looked up. I think they've been watching us, Tom, for a long time, and they didn't expect us to develop this kind of technology. The revelation hit Reed hard. The idea that Earth had been under alien observation wasn't new. Science fiction had explored it for centuries. But to have it confirmed, to know that humanity had been studied like specimens in a zoo. So we're not just lost, Reed said slowly. We're breaking some kind of galactic rule by being out here. It seems that way, Anna agreed. And they're taking it very seriously. The fleet pursuing us keeps growing. Reed made his decision. Lisa, change course. Take us deeper into the Arcturus sector. Captain. Lisa looked surprised. We can't outrun them forever, and we can't fight them. But maybe we can talk to them. Reed turned to the crew. They think we're a threat because they don't understand us. So let's help them understand. You want to open communications? Foster asked. Not yet. Reed's eyes had a determined gleam. First, I want to show them something. Mike, how quickly can you reconfigure the drive for a demonstration? Davis thought for a moment. Depends on what you have in mind. Reed smiled for the first time in days. Something impressive. 3 hours later, the Pathfinder approached the edge of the asteroid field. Behind them, the Imperial fleet had spread out, trying to cover all possible escape routes. On the main Imperial ship, Admiral Voss received a priority alert. Sir, Commander Wells said, the Pathfinder has slowed significantly. It appears to be entering the asteroid field. Voss nodded. A predictable move. They're trying to lose us in the debris. There's more, sir. Wells looked troubled. Our sensors are detecting unusual energy buildup in their drive system. Before Voss could respond, the sensor officer called out, Admiral, the human ship is... It's gone, sir. Destroyed. Voss asked sharply. No, sir. It's just... vanished. One moment it was there. The next it was gone. Voss's eyes narrowed. Find it. Now. The bridge crew worked frantically, scanning the asteroid field and surrounding space. For several tense minutes, there was nothing. Then, the sensor officer spoke again, his voice filled with disbelief. Sir, the Pathfinder has reappeared, behind our fleet. Voss spun around to look at the tactical display. Somehow, a human ship had jumped from one side of the Imperial fleet to the other, a distance of several million kilometers, in an instant. How is that possible? Wells whispered. No known drive system can perform a jump that precise. As they watched, the Pathfinder disappeared again, only to reappear moments later at a different position. Then again, and again. Each jump was perfectly controlled, placing the ship in positions that should have been impossible to calculate so quickly. They're showing off, Voss realized aloud. This is a demonstration. As if confirming his words, the Pathfinder finally came to a stop at a safe distance from the Imperial fleet. A moment later, a transmission came through on all frequencies. To the pursuing vessels, a calm, human voice said, This is Captain Tom Reed of the Earth ship Pathfinder. We mean you no harm. We are explorers, not warriors. We request peaceful communication. Voss hesitated. Protocol dictated that he should capture the ship immediately. But what he had just witnessed changed things. The Pathfinder had just demonstrated technology far beyond Imperial capabilities. They could have easily escaped or attacked, but instead chose to communicate. "Open a channel," Voss ordered. As the communication link established, Voss couldn't help but feel that he was witnessing a pivotal moment in Imperial history. Whatever happened next would change everything they thought they knew about humans and their place in the galaxy. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, Commander Ellis watched the entire exchange from his scout ship. His face was a mask of awe and determination as he recorded everything. Unlike Voss, he had no intention of talking to the humans. He had a different plan entirely. The space between the Imperial fleet and the Pathfinder was filled with tension. On the bridge of the Dominance, Admiral Voss stood perfectly still as the face of Captain Tom Reed appeared on the main screen. "Captain Reed," Voss said formally, "I am Admiral Victor Voss of the Galactic Imperial Fleet. Your presence in Imperial space is unauthorized. Your vessel is using technology that violates multiple Imperial regulations." Reed's expression remained calm. "Admiral, we meant no violation. Our jump was an accident. An experiment that sent us much farther than intended." "An accident," Voss repeated, his tone making it clear he didn't believe this. "And the technology you just demonstrated. Your ability to make precise jumps through space without standard hyperspace corridors. Was that an accident too?" "No," Reed admitted. "That was deliberate. We needed to show you what we're capable of. Not as a threat, but to establish mutual respect." Voss's eyes narrowed slightly. "Respect is earned, Captain. As is trust. You claim to be explorers, yet you fled from our attempts to intercept you." "We fled because we didn't know who you were or what you wanted," Reed countered. "From our perspective, we were suddenly far from home and being chased by an armed fleet. Wouldn't you have done the same?" Before Voss could answer, Commander Wells approached and whispered something in his ear. His expression darkened. "Captain Reed, our records indicate that Earth is a quarantine planet, classified as a Level 2 civilization. Your presence here suggests either a catastrophic failure of our monitoring systems or a deliberate deception spanning decades." Voss leaned forward slightly. "Which is it?" On the Pathfinder, Reed glanced at his crew before responding. Anna nodded encouragingly. "Neither, Admiral. Earth hasn't been deceiving anyone. We developed this technology recently, and in secret. Most of our own people don't even know about it." Reed paused. "As for your monitoring, perhaps you weren't watching as closely as you thought." "Explain," Voss demanded. "Humans advance quickly, Admiral. What took other species centuries might take us decades." Reed gestured to his crew. "This ship represents a breakthrough in physics that came from an unlikely source, a theoretical paper published by a graduate student. It proposed a completely new approach to faster-than-light travel." Anna stepped forward. "Our drive doesn't use hyperspace as you understand it. We discovered what we call slit space, a dimension that allows for point-to-point travel without the traditional limitations of hyperspace corridors." Voss listened with growing concern. If what they said was true, humans had independently discovered principles of physics that the Empire's best scientists hadn't even theorized. "You understand that I cannot simply take your word for this," Voss said finally. "Imperial protocol requires that your ship be impounded and your technology examined." "That won't be happening, Admiral," Reed replied, his voice still friendly but firm. "We've shown you what the Pathfinder can do. If necessary, we can jump away faster than your ships can react." The standoff was interrupted by an urgent call from the sensor officer. "Admiral, another vessel is approaching at high speed." Voss turned. "One of ours?" "Yes, sir. It's a scout ship. Registry identifies it as the one Commander Ellis stole." Voss cursed under his breath. "Intercept course. Now." On the screen, Reed looked concerned. "Admiral, what's happening?" "A rogue officer," Voss explained tersely. "He seems to have developed an unhealthy obsession with your ship." The tactical display showed Ellis's scout ship racing toward the Pathfinder. It was small but armed with standard Imperial weapons, enough to potentially damage the human vessel. "Captain Reed, I suggest you use those impressive jump capabilities now," Voss warned. "Commander Ellis is not acting under my authority." "Understood," Reed replied, but before he could give orders, Ellis's voice cut across all channels. "Humans, this is Commander Robert Ellis of the Imperial Fleet. Your technology represents a threat to Imperial security. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Reed looked to his crew. "Options. We could jump away," Lisa suggested. "Or we could show them what else we can do," Mike said with a grim smile. "The defensive systems are online." Reed nodded. "Defensive posture. Be ready for anything." Ellis's ship continued its approach, weapons powering up. From the Dominance, Voss ordered his ships to intercept, but they were too far away to reach Ellis before he came within firing range of the Pathfinder. "Final warning," Ellis broadcast. "Surrender or—" His transmission cut off as his ship suddenly fired. A bright energy beam shot toward the Pathfinder. What happened next stunned everyone watching. As the beam reached the human ship, it simply bent around it, as if deflected by an invisible shield. The energy continued past, harmlessly dissipating into space. Ellis fired again, and again. Each shot curved around the Pathfinder without making contact. "What are we seeing?" Voss asked, unable to hide his amazement. "It appears to be some kind of gravitational defense system," Wells answered, studying the readings. "They're bending space around their ship, redirecting the energy weapons." On the Pathfinder, Mike Davis worked frantically at his console. "The deflection field is holding, but it's draining our power reserves. We can't maintain this indefinitely." Reed made a quick decision. "Anna, prepare a targeted field. Let's end this before someone gets hurt." Anna nodded and adjusted the controls. A moment later, a narrow beam of distorted space shot out from the Pathfinder toward Ellis's ship. When it hit, the scout ship didn't explode or break apart. Instead, its engines simply went dark. "What did you do?" Reed asked. "Localized time dilation," Anna explained. "His ship is experiencing time at about 1,000th the normal rate. From his perspective, barely a millisecond has passed. It will wear off in about an hour, but he's effectively frozen for now." Reed reopened the channel to the Dominance. "Admiral Voss, we've neutralized the threat without harming Commander Ellis. He'll be fine in about an hour." Voss's face showed the first real emotion since their conversation began, genuine surprise. "You could have destroyed him," Voss said. "We could have," Reed agreed, "but that's not who we are. We didn't come here to fight." A long silence followed as Voss studied Reed and his crew. Finally, he spoke. "Perhaps we should continue this conversation in person, Captain Reed. I invite you to dock with the Dominance under diplomatic protocols. You and your senior officers will be granted safe passage and diplomatic status." Reed consulted silently with his crew before answering. "We accept, Admiral, but the Pathfinder stays under our control, with part of our crew remaining aboard." "Agreed," Voss said. "We have much to discuss about Earth's future in the galaxy." As preparations began for the historic meeting, neither Reed nor Voss could know that this confrontation was being watched with great interest by other eyes. Throughout the Imperial communications network, news of the human ship and its incredible technology was spreading. The quarantine of Earth was effectively over. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. The Grand Chamber of the Imperial Council was silent as the 12 High Counselors stared at the holographic display before them. The recording showed the Pathfinder performing its impossible jumps and deflecting Commander Ellis's attacks. When it ended, the silence continued for several moments. "Is this authenticated?" asked Counselor Marcus, an elderly alien with pale blue skin and 3 sets of eyes. "Completely," replied Admiral Voss, standing at attention before the council. "I witnessed these events personally." High Chancellor Darius, the head of the Imperial Council, leaned forward. His species aged slowly, and though he had served for over 200 years, he appeared only middle-aged. And the humans? Where are they now? Captain Reed and his senior officers are in diplomatic quarters aboard the Dominance, Voss answered. Their ship remains under their control but is docked with our vessel. A remarkable development, said Counselor Lyra, the only human-like member of the Council. In all our history, no quarantine species has ever advanced this quickly without detection. Chancellor Darius nodded gravely, which raises serious questions about our monitoring protocols. He turned to Voss. What do they want? To go home, Chancellor. They claimed their jump to our space was accidental. Voss paused. But they also wish for Earth to be recognized as an independent power, not subject to Imperial quarantine or control. This caused a stir among the Council members. For thousands of years, the Empire had followed the same procedure with developing worlds. Observe from a distance until they reached an appropriate technological and social level, then make official contact and guide them into the galactic community. Impossible, declared Counselor Thorne, the most conservative member. The protocols exist for good reasons. Premature contact has led to disaster countless times. One accident does not change our policies. With respect, Counselor, Voss said carefully, this is not a typical situation. The humans have already developed technology beyond our own capabilities. The traditional approach of guiding their development is no longer relevant. Then they represent a threat, Thorne insisted. If they can build one ship with this technology, they can build a fleet. The security implications are enormous. Counselor Lyra shook her head. Or they represent an opportunity. Think of what we could learn from their approach to physics. The debate continued for hours, with the Council divided on how to respond to humanity's sudden appearance on the galactic stage. Finally, Chancellor Darius raised his hand for silence. Bring them in, he ordered. Let us hear from these humans directly. Captain Tom Reed had faced many challenges in his career, but nothing had prepared him for standing before the leaders of a galactic civilization. The Grand Chamber was designed to intimidate, with its vast ceiling and the raised platform where the counselors sat. Reed, along with Anna and Mike, walked forward with as much confidence as they could muster. They had changed from their flight suits into their formal Earth Space Agency uniforms, which now seemed painfully simple compared to the elaborate robes of the Imperial officials. Captain Thomas Reed, Chancellor Darius began, you stand before the High Council of the Galactic Empire as the first official representative of Earth to enter Imperial space. Your presence here violates countless regulations, and yet, he gestured to the hologram still showing the Pathfinder's capabilities. You have given us much to consider. Reed nodded respectfully. Chancellor, members of the Council, we came here by accident, but perhaps it was a fortunate one. For too long, your empire has watched Earth from a distance, judging us without knowing us. Today, that changes. You speak boldly for someone representing a single planet facing an empire of 10,000 worlds. Counselor Thorne said coldly. I speak as I must. Reed replied calmly. Earth may be just one planet, but humans have qualities that shouldn't be underestimated. Our history shows that we advance rapidly when challenged. We adapt, we innovate, and we persevere. Anna stepped forward. The technology that brought us here wasn't stolen or copied. It was developed independently, using principles your scientists haven't even theorized. This isn't a claim of superiority. It's simply a different approach to understanding the universe. Mike added, we could have kept running. We could have used our technology to hide from your fleet. Instead, we chose to engage, to communicate. That should tell you something about our intentions. Chancellor Darius studied them thoughtfully. And what do you propose, Captain Reed? What should be Earth's place in the galaxy, according to you? Reed had prepared for this question. We propose that Earth be granted provisional independent status, not as a member of the Empire, but as an allied world with the right to govern itself and develop its own path forward. This caused another stir among the counselors. Independence was rarely granted so quickly. And if we refuse? Counselor Thorne asked. If we insist on the traditional path of integration? Reed's expression remained calm, but his voice carried a hint of steel. Then we would regretfully have to decline. The Pathfinder can return to Earth at any time. And next time, we might not come alone. The implication was clear. Earth could not be controlled the way other developing worlds had been. Chancellor Darius called for a brief recess. As the council members withdrew to deliberate, Reed and his crew waited anxiously. "Do you think they'll agree?" Anna whispered. "They don't have much choice," Mike replied. "They know what our ship can do." Reed shook his head. "It's not about forcing them. It's about showing them that humanity deserves respect. We need to establish a relationship based on mutual benefit, not fear." After 30 minutes that felt like days, the council returned. Chancellor Darius's face gave nothing away as he addressed them. "Captain Reed, the council has reached a decision. Earth will be granted provisional independent status, with a 5-year probationary period." He raised his hand as Reed began to smile. "There are conditions. Earth must establish a formal diplomatic mission to the Empire. All ships using your new drive technology must be registered and tracked. And Earth must share its scientific discoveries with the Imperial Academy, as we will share ours with you." Reed nodded. "Those terms seem reasonable, Chancellor." "Then it is settled." Darius stood. For the first time in Imperial history, a quarantined world has earned its place among the stars through its own initiative. I hope this marks the beginning of a productive relationship between humanity and the Empire. 1 month later, Reed stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder as it approached Earth. Behind them, 3 Imperial ships followed at a respectful distance, the first official diplomatic mission to humanity. "Home at last," Anna said, smiling at the blue-green planet growing larger in their view screen. "Everything's going to change now," Mike observed. "Once we land, Earth will never be the same." Reed nodded. "That's true, but change was inevitable. At least now we have a say in how it happens." As the Pathfinder began its descent toward the sprawling Space Agency headquarters, Reed thought about the future. The path ahead would not be easy. Some on Earth would welcome the new galactic connections, while others would fear them. The Empire, too, was divided on how to handle humanity's sudden emergence. Commander Ellis had been returned to Imperial Center for psychological evaluation. Admiral Voss had been promoted for his handling of the first contact situation and would be leading the Imperial diplomatic mission to Earth. "Captain," Lisa called from her station, "we're receiving transmissions from all over the planet. News of our return and our guests has spread globally." Reed took a deep breath. "Open a channel to Space Agency Command. Let's tell them what we found out there." As the Pathfinder descended through the clouds, it carried more than just its crew. It carried the beginning of a new chapter in human history, humanity's first steps into a larger universe, not as subjects of a vast empire, but as equals with a unique place among the stars. The quarantine was over. The new era had begun.